Weight of the world on my shoulders, there's nothing to know but the folded and noted. I have it decoded. I told her to hold it, been solely devoted and quoted.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just got the proof. Just earlier today, Chuck Schumer's secret plan regarding the ongoing government shutdown got leaked to the public, and so now we know exactly what the Democrats are up to. Now, as you all know, today marks day number 13, almost 2 weeks of the ongoing government shutdown, which has been entirely manufactured by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. But earlier today, just hours ago, in fact, Chuck Schumer's plans got leaked, and so now we officially know exactly what's going on here. And so, folks, to really kick off today's report, take a look at this.
Sources are telling me that the whole reason that the Democrats are doing this is because they want to be there for next weekend's No Kings March in Washington, where you're going to see these activists march in Washington this coming Saturday. One senator told me that the groups are threatening Minority Leader Schumer, telling him, you better do this and keep the government closed or we will make you irrelevant. And so do you believe that's what this is about? It's more theatrics than really any, marriage to these Obamacare subsidies?
Well, Maria, the American people are being held hostage by Chuck Schumer's poll numbers. Why did he go with a clean CR in the spring? What's changed is his poll numbers versus AOC have collapsed. And if in fact they are waiting for this No Kings protest, no kings means no paychecks and no government. And Maria, I think the dirty secret here for why this has dragged on for so long is the Democratic friends in the mainstream media have been downplaying this shutdown. And this is getting serious. It's starting to affect the real economy. It's starting to affect people's lives. And if this were the Republicans who were engineering the shutdown, and make no mistake that Speaker Johnson and the House passed a clean CR. Leader Thune calls a vote every night, and 3 Democrats have crossed the aisle. John Fetterman, I believe, was on your show yesterday.
Yes, that's
right. Senator Fetterman said, we got to reopen the government. So we just need a few more Democrats to get away from the radicalized left. But clearly, that's the wing that's taken over the party, and they've been unable to stop President Trump in the courts, in the media. So now they are using a government shutdown to stop his initiatives. President Trump is doing peace deals, trade deals, and tax deals. And the mainstream media refuses to respond to how serious this situation is because they don't want to embarrass the Democrats. If this was a Republican shutdown, this would sound like it was the end of the world.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. As we now know, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have manufactured this entire government shutdown so that they can have one more talking point during their upcoming nationwide No Kings rally on Saturday, October 18th. Seriously, Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats have voted against opening up the federal government on 8 different occasions now, putting vulnerable Americans and veterans at risk. Also, they can scream and shout into a microphone about how evil President Trump is at their upcoming No Kings rally. And you know what? On that note, take a look at this.
What we do know is this. We have given them 8 chances to vote for a clean funding bill. These are numbers they have voted for 5 times in the past. They have voted no. Chuck Schumer has been planning for this shutdown for a long time, has had a war room set up. We know that the big leftist rallies, those No King rallies, are set for next weekend, and the biggest one is going to be in D.C. And they are saying they want to continue this through those rallies. Chuck Schumer wants to be the big man on campus at that event, wants to throw his fist in the air and say, look at me, I'm fighting Donald Trump. All this while, Our troops are not getting paid. President Trump is telling the Department of War to use every means necessary to pay these troops. We also know that 4,000 employees, federal employees, are losing their jobs, and the Democrats don't care. They are that power hungry and that focused on appeasing the far left. So they're not going to stop this. They say they're going to continue.
With Aroma 360 citrus scents, focus isn't found. It's sparked.
In you.
Now, luckily, President Trump has stepped up to help take care of all of these people during the Democrats' shutdown. But you know what? She's right. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats are really nothing more than a bunch of power-hungry anti-American freaks. In fact, here's a little recap of what got us here in the first place. In just the last 12 months alone, the Democrats lost the presidential election, they lost the U.S. House of Representatives, they lost the Senate, and they keep on racking up loss after loss in the U.S. Supreme Court. Really, every single one of their anti-American plans has just colossally failed and oftentimes backfired. And so what are they doing now? Well, they're just doing the only thing they can do. They've manufactured a completely unnecessary government shutdown all so that they can have something to complain about at their upcoming No Kings rally. Also, I just have to say real quick, if Donald Trump really was a king, do you think he would be tolerating a government shutdown? No, he would just decapitate everyone who undermined him, then get on with his day. Back here in reality, President Trump has been doing everything he can to try to break bread with all of these far-left radicals, but they're just so hell-bent on undermining the America First agenda that they refuse to cooperate whatsoever. But you know what? Now, I want to talk about what's really going on here behind the scenes, but before we do, I want to say real fast that if you folks enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a lot. But okay, take a look at this.
The No Kings protest, Maria, really frustrating. I mean, this is part of Antifa, paid protesters. It begs the question, who's funding it? But yeah, Democrats want to wait for a big rally of a No Kings protest, when the bottom line is, who's running the show in the Senate? Chuck Schumer's not running the show. The No Kings protesters or organizers are running the show. Is AOC threatening a primary against Chuck Schumer? Is she running the show? But you need a strong leader in the Senate to take control and make decisions. And Chuck Schumer's blown in the breeze. He has no power, no authority, because he's given it up to his primary opponent, potentially in AOC, or to the No Kings protest organizers. And it's shameful.
And so, folks, as you all know, that is a massive part of this entire situation as well. The reality is that Chuck Schumer is so petrified of getting primaried out of the Senate by his fellow Democrat, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that he's actually manufactured this entire shutdown to try to look more progressive than he actually is. And why? Because he's also totally scared of all of the millions of far-left radical progressives that now make up the Democrat base, like all of these people that plan on attending this upcoming No Kings rally. Really, folks, this entire situation is just perhaps the single most pathetic instance of partisan politics in all of American history, and it's happening right this very moment. Now, luckily, as all of this is going on, we have an actual leader back in the White House, President Trump, who's capable of handling situations like this, and most importantly, who's actually capable of putting America first.
The weather is starting to get colder, but before it gets cold out, while it's still nice, we have a
Stephen A. Smith is in some hot water. The people are really upset at him right now because
what did he do now?
He made some comments about Jasmine Crockett and the way she expresses herself. Let's take a listen to Stephen A.'s original comments on Jasmine Crockett expressing herself.
you Jasmine Crockett or somebody like that. Ladies, I respect intelligent women, no doubt. But how a Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district, Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas.
Well, those were his original comments, right? So since those comments, a ton of people have spoken out against what he's saying and defending Jasmine Crockett. I saw Willie D speak out, Stephen Jackson, Tamika Mallory is calling for people to turn Stephen A. Smith off and treat him and his show like the NFL. And Bakari Sellers.
Treat him in the show like the NFL?
Like not watch
Everybody watches the NFL.
She's saying she wants people to treat it like the NFL, or like we did at one point with the NFL when we talked about not watching it.
That never happened.
And then
no, I love Tamika. That's my sister, but that never happened.
Also, as well, and Stephen A. Smith mentions this in his new response that we'll play. He has an issue with Bakari Sellers and something Bakari Sellers said about his original comments on a Native Land podcast. Let's take a listen to Bakari Sellers defending Jasmine Crockett.
There is a through line between the Ice Cubes and the Jason Whitlocks and the Stephen A. Smiths. These individuals have been around since we have been on this freedom struggle. There have always been individuals out there which exhibit behaviors of charlatans who utilize, some people are in it for the change and some people are in it for the change, right? And I think that that's indicative. And they find the easiest path to the front of the line. And Stephen A. Smith is someone who doesn't have the depth to talk about House oversight or the appropriations process, right? And how you're able to bring resources back to your community or what Jasmine is doing. So he rather lampoon her.
So Stephen A. Smith has been seeing all of this outrage, and he says, normally he does his show at a certain time every week, but he decided to do an emergency episode to get back with the people who have something to say. So he went on his show, straight
emergency episode,
Straight Shooter with Stephen A. Smith, and
what was this last night? I must have missed this.
Last night, yes, that's what I was listening to.
I thought he was on vacation. Wasn't he on vacation or something like that?
And he said he came back because he's been seeing all this conversation, some from people he thought were his friends, and he has some things that he needed to say. So let's take a listen to number 4.
Wow, Willie D. You sure are uplifting. I mean, I got to be touched. That was inspiration. Really, that really, really was. That was inspirational. I'm doing sucker shit. That's what you call inspirational? That's what you call uplifting? Really? Now, I haven't heard everything that Roland Martin said, D.L. Hughley had to say. None but respect. First of all, I'm going to be very, very careful about anything that I say about Roland Martin because he's a friend. I'm going to be careful about anything that I say about D.L. Hughley because I have respect for that man. We've spoken a few months ago. I got nothing but love for him. I am concerned about him not making people laugh and smile as much anymore as he used to because he's more of an activist now than a comedian, but that's a choice and that's his right.
Yeah, okay.
I gotta go listen to that. I didn't hear that.
Now there's more. I got some more for you. Now, he also says in this clip that his issue with Jasmine Crockett is that she speaks she's too street. Let's take a listen to Stephen A. on Jasmine speaking to the streets.
Crockett's performance in the House, according to research. What I was saying was this educated, brilliant black woman representing over 750,000 people is engaging in verbiage and rhetoric for the streets. And that's fine when you're in the streets. How many of y'all bring the streets to the table when you at the negotiating table trying to get a deal done? How many of you are able to think that for a second that you're able to bring street verbiage to Capitol Hill and that's going to work for you? You literally have senators and congressional figures on Capitol Hill on the side of the Republicans telling the networks, whether it's Fox News, News Nation, or anybody else, please, please, please put her front and center on camera. Why would they do that? Because they know it wins for them.
Hi, my name is Andrew Woods of Awake Window and Door Company, and this is why we choose Xometry for our custom manufacturing services. We are thrilled with Xometry's service and quality. Visit Xometry.com and start your project today.
Yeah. So he has people are upset. I think with Jasmine Crockett, in my opinion, the reason why people put her front and center, focus and platform her is because she speaks in a way that it appeals to people who just aren't politicians. Like especially for me,
she's being real.
Yeah, I go to her Twitter all the time to see how she feels about things and how she's expressing herself, because I learn what's happening, but then I like how she tells how she honestly feels about things.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
See, they can say whatever they want. Why she can't say what she want?
Yes,
Like,
and I would say, you said Stephen A. is in hot water. Stephen A. is not in hot water because this is exactly what he does. He says things and people respond to it. He is provocative. He gets the people going, right? It's all content. Everybody just making content, so it makes for good conversation. Now, as far as what he said about Jasmine Crockett, and me and Stephen A. spoke about this behind the scenes this week, but I don't think any elected official is above critique, but you got to criticize their policy. And it seems like Stephen A. is criticizing her style. And if you are criticizing her style and telling her she needs to change her style to be able to get things done, but also telling her to do that, to get things done with one of the most uncouth political figures ever in Donald Trump, then I got to say that, you bugging. All right. Trump talks crazy. So you can't call out Jasmine for allegedly talking crazy, his words, but not Trump. And I also believe that, Tamika Mallory and Bakari Sellers, they need to have a conversation with Stephen A. They should go on Stephen A's show and explain to him why playing nice with Trump doesn't work. And I have no problem with Jasmine Crockett and her opposition or her resistance to Trump. I have no problem with her calling out Trump and challenging the president of the United States of America. Yeah, I have no problem with that.
I agree with you. The problem I do have is, and you could critique anybody you want, but when you're talking about policy, it should be somebody from her district that has that problem. Somebody that is affected by the things that she's doing. And if her district doesn't have a problem with it and her district loves it, that means she's doing the job that they voted for her to do. Yeah. So it should not be an issue or a problem. The other thing that I do hate, and I hate it, and you might not like what Stephen A. Smith says. You might think he's a clown. I've been seeing the chat, and you might disagree with everything he says. But what I can't stand is when somebody wants to cancel somebody based off of their opinion. Yeah. You might not like their opinion, and their opinion might not suit you, but you can have the right to turn off that TV, to turn off that radio and say, he's not my cup of tea. Yeah. But I hate the fact when you say, well, I don't like what he has to say, we canceling him. I hate that.
Yeah, you sound like Trump talking about his opposition.
I hate that. I just hate that.
And also, don't want to add this. I love Jasmine Crockett because she's fearless. And I know Jasmine Crockett is about the people. She puts the people first every time. And the reason I know this is because the old guard in both parties don't like her. Republicans kick Jasmine Crockett back in publicly. Democrats kick her back in privately. And at least to me, that's how I know she's a real person. Yes, because because both sides be having issues with her. That's when you know a politician is putting the people over party or anything else. When both sides can't stand her.
And I hate she talks street. She's a highly intellectual woman.
How does Trump talk then?
I will say
there is no talking street. She speaks the way that she speaks, and I don't have a problem with it.
I do want to give
H-Town and Jasmine
I do want to say this though to that envy. Stephen A. Smith did take some time to lay out her resume. He does call her educated, and he does all the things, but he doesn't agree with how she talks at the same time. So I do want to say he did say that.
But if you don't agree with Jasmine Crockett, and you're telling Jasmine Crockett she needs to talk a certain way to be able to work with Trump, who talk crazier than Donald Trump? Like that don't make that Stephen A. don't make no logical sense.
And he be two-time, and he be whatever Donald Trump says, he says it twice. I don't know.
It don't even make no logical sense. But once again, I like Jasmine because she's fearless, and I say it a million times. The reason I know she's a real person who puts the people over any party or any politics is because both parties kick her back in. Republicans do it publicly. There's a lot of Democrats who do it privately. And Jasmine Crockett may not be able to say that, but I can.
That's the crazy thing. I didn't even know that until you just said it.
All right. Well, that is the latest with Lauren. All right.
But why do they kick her back in? Democrats.
I think because she's effective. And I think that they want, they want people to move a certain way and speak a certain way.
She's unapologetic
and kowtow a certain way, and she's not doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Simple as that.
All right. Now, when we come back, we got the mix. Today is Usher's birthday.
Yes.
So let me know your favorite Usher record.
And it's Stephen A. Smith's birthday, too. Happy birthday.
It is real.
Yeah, it is Stephen A. Smith's birthday,
had to come off his birthday trip to
talk
about
vacation. That's right.
You know, I ain't mad at him. Get your content and do what you're going to do. He know exactly what to do.
It's the Breakfast Club. Hey, and on chat, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Salute to everybody on the Breakfast Club AM Twitch chat. Chat, we'll see y'all tomorrow, all right? It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Hold up. Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done? I'm here with the incredible Rashonda Elias and the indomitable Representative Jasmine Crockett.
Yes. Oh, shenanigans.
So you may have heard Donald Trump is not a big fan of history generally. Certainly not a big fan of Black history. Congressman Crockett, how are y'all responding to that in Congress? We have a Secretary of Education that does not know anything about education, about educating our kids. We have the president who is signing executive orders to, right now in Philadelphia, trying to get rid of the horrific legacy of slavery in this country, saying we can't tell those stories, taking down the signs about the Japanese internment camps at our national parks. How is Congress and how are you sort of viewing this assault on American history? Because I remind folks, Black history is American history. And so this is an assault on American history. How are you responding to that in Congress?
I know I'm supposed to give people hope, but I appreciate what was just stated because it is true. I think that for me, it's a matter of reminding people that there was a point in time when they did not want us to be able to read. And it was against the law for Black folk to be able to read because they knew that education was the key to our freedom. And I need to remind people that education will continuously be your key to freedom. Now, does that mean that you've got to go and get 50 degrees? It does not. But it does mean that you need to make sure that you feed your mind. Yes. If you feed your mind and you get the information. And so that is why and how you can find our ancestors that maybe didn't have a formal education because they were disallowed from having it, but they were beyond educated. When we talk about the United States specifically, we went from literally being in chains and building the White House to occupying it. You tell me what other people did that. And so that is why education is your real freedom. And that is why we see the assault on it. This is not new. This is old news. The problem is that if people don't know what happened before, then as they say, you're doomed to repeat it, right? And so you're talking about the lack of qualifications. They have somehow tried to do everything that they can to make the face of all inadequacies be people of color. Basically anybody that's not white, male, straight, and probably rich. Everybody else supposedly is inferior in some way. Again, this white supremacy ideology, but when you look at it, I may be an amazing attorney, and frankly, I would say I am. I get sit in a courtroom, okay?
Let the record reflect.
Yes, let the record reflect. But you don't want to see me in the operating room. That's not where my training came from, right? Exactly. So the fact that you take a podcaster and you make him over to FBI.
Got a bike? Then it's ready to Zwift. Just add a Zwift Ready Smart Trainer.
The fact that you take a wrestling woman and you make her over education. I mean, I do want people to recognize what's happening, or all these Fox News hosts and throwing them into, like you played a judge for a while on TV or something. And so now you the U.S. attorney prosecuting people. Like, I mean, it is absolutely insane.
We laugh, but that's a real thing that's out here happening in the United States of America.
These are very real things. When we see what is happening at the Department of Transportation, when we see all these near misses, when we see that we are constantly plagued with planes being down and not being able to take off. I mean, we've gotten to the point that, people are not connecting the dots, in that they are intentionally trying to dumb down and reduce the amount of positive influence that these people have by making sure you don't have anybody that's qualified. So they are literally making it seem as if these are jobs that anybody can do. So I'm gonna just throw random people in, and they are putting us all in harm's way. And I need people to understand that your whiteness ain't gonna be able to save you from some of the hell that we are experiencing, whether it is the tariffs and the cost, whether it is the economy and the lack of jobs. Like, you have to decide when you are going to say, you know what, forget everything else. I just want actual qualifications. And if everyone decided to look at resumes and ignore everything else, there was only one conclusion. I'm not saying this because I'm a Democrat. I'm saying this because I literally gave a speech at the DNC where I talked about how one had a resume and the other one had a rap sheet. Mm-hmm. And in the real world, you put those two resumes down for any job, whether it's at Walmart or Target, which whether you put it down for one of the two, I can tell you which one not gonna get the job.
Speaking of resumes, and some people do not know that you are a former elected official as well. And we all know as people who have run for office that the results that you have are what you have to put up to the voters when you want to run for re-election. And under the current administration, prices are higher than they've ever been. Inflation is higher than it was before he got into office. Everything that he promised is going in the opposite direction. And so he's feeling a little worried about his ability to hang on to the majority in Congress. And so you remember that he asked folks down in Georgia to fine him 11,000 votes. And now he's asking state after state to fine him some congressional seats. And so I want to know what you are thinking about your state where the gerrymandering has already taken place, and now you have other states which want to follow suit. So I want you to respond to what's happening with the Texas gerrymander, but if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Well, I just want to say, first I want to say I ran in 2020 for city council in Louisville. Now, I did not win. I almost unseated a 20-year incumbent, but it was 2020. We were shut in. I was so close and I was so excited because I finished Emerge, which trains Democratic women to run for office. And that was a promise that I wrote to myself that I would run. And I said, when I make a promise to myself, let's just go ahead and do it. People wanted people that were honest. A lot of people are suspicious that Jasmine is who Jasmine says she is because they're not used to people being who they say that they are. So that is one thing. But now that the transparency that we are getting is right in front of people, blatant saying, I want these seats, take these seats. And everybody is now looking like, can he do that? He's not. The point is they're not supposed to. They just don't care. But we are in this for real. I try to get to people before hope leaves their eyes. When you see people that grew up in the same area, their grandmother, their mom, and now them, the same pothole is there, the same food desert is there, the same lack of transportation to get a job on the other side of town is there, and you knock on their door in 2026 or 2028 and want them to vote. And you look at them, if you've never seen a person with hope has left their eyes, it's like talking to a wall. First of all, they don't have time. If they're working, they already struggling, they don't want to hear you. If they have not seen a change, they don't want to hear from you. That's why I was glad to get out there and see people. They're like, oh my God, you're a divorced mother of four. You were homeless when you came to the city. You built yourself up to a businesswoman. You got something to show that I don't have to stay where I am just because this is where I've always been. That's what they need to see and hear from. So when you get people into these places and they start snatching up seats and they start gerrymandering and moving things, and then the people that move in still don't mean them any good. And then they see that we're not doing anything to stop it. That's where it comes back to the hopelessness of it all. It's like, well, then what do we fight for? Right? And I'm thinking, like I told you earlier, I'm banking on the fact that they are wanting that from us, but we are a people of perseverance. But they are banking on the fact that we're going to be exhausted by all this and just throw our hands up. But we cannot do that. Yes. Right? We cannot do that because I'm just not here for me. I'm here for that guy that I knocked on his door and he was like, my grandmother grew up in these projects. My mama was here. I'm here. I'm just trying to eat. When your stomach is growling, you do not want to hear from anybody that's making false promises to you. They want to see change, which is I'm so glad that we have our first Black hospital in West Louisville.
Life is hard. Hope I make it. It's a risk, but I'll take it. Feeling like
we have our first Black pharmacy in West Louisville. Things are changing. But at the time when you meet people and they don't see anything moving for us, they're not getting out to vote. Yep. Right?
I want to change something that you said. Corruption is on full display. Yes. But I will say that transparency is absolutely not. Not when you get a bad number on the jobs and you decide, you know what, never mind, let me just fire the person that released the numbers, not when you have a DOJ website that ends up deleting these FBI statistics around who it is that is committing this violent crime. Like, they are not being transparent whatsoever. The fact that this administration has engaged in, and I'm not even gonna say the administration, this president himself has engaged in somehow putting a lot of money in his pocket, and we don't fully understand how. We don't know where he is engaged in business dealings. We don't have full disclosure on his cryptocurrency. Like, it is the absolute opposite of transparency, but the corruption is on full display. He has decided that he wants seats. He wants to take those seats at a cost to people of color having real representation, people of color that will potentially lay out and fight for that person that has lost the hope, right? I have a lot of people like that in my district where I have one of the highest incarceration rates in the entire state of Texas, but I also have one of the highest poverty rates in the state of Texas as well. And so, yeah, there are people that it doesn't matter if the Democrats are in control or the Republicans are in control, nothing ever happens for them. Yeah. And those are the people that say, well, what's the difference? Both parties are the same.
Well, what is the difference? What is the difference?
So,
why are you, Jasmine Crockett, a Democrat?
Well,
no, seriously, what is the difference? Why are you a Democrat?
Now you asking me an existential question.
No, yeah.
What people need to understand is that there is no perfect party, right? And it's a matter of which one do you more align with. I align with this idea that we don't grow from the top down, but that we grow from the bottom up, and that everybody in this country is supposed to have an opportunity. And what does opportunity look like? Well, what did I say the key to freedom was? It is education. Whatever that education looks like. Again, not someone that says you got to go and get a 4-year degree and be bogged down with it. Right? It can be a trade. It can be all the things, right? But like, it is education in my mind that can move you forward. And what makes us so different and so unique in this country is that it's supposed to be no matter where you came from, no matter what your background is, you can too become the richest person in the world. That is what we are supposed to be able to have. And there are certain people that have decided that there will not be an American dream, but nothing but American nightmares for certain groups of people. And so I don't side with that. I side with this idea of opportunity, whether that looks like you just have this vision of this business that you want to start. How do you access capital, right? Or whether it is recognizing the harm to, say, Black folk. Like, I am believing in real freedom and liberation for all people. And so, call me a little green or a little too optimistic, but I believe in the American dream. I do. That thing that makes other people, not like my people, but other people decide that they will risk their lives to come over here because there is an opportunity here for them and their family. I believe in that, like, wholeheartedly. I believe that it shouldn't be a matter of Nepo babies like the ones sitting in the White House are the only ones that have opportunities because somebody is giving you everything. You got everything given to you and you still can't pronounce names of things that you want to sit up here and tell everybody they can't use because it's going to hurt you or hurt your baby. I can't. They want to call me everything but a child of God, and they looking at this bumbling fool who can't pronounce acetaminophen.
He can't.
Like,
he was on the struggle.
And
He's on the struggle bus.
And the fact that your staff, they know you stupid. So why your staff didn't say, now, sir, now this word, they know they needed to spell it out phonetically for him to help him out, or they should just told him stick to Tylenol.
This is why we got to fund. This is why we got to fund the schools. So I want to talk about two more things before we let you out of here. I want to talk specifically.
Acorns gives me something to look forward to. I can invest for my future, save for tomorrow, and spend.
His wife, Erica Kirk.
This is not a ceremony.
On what would have been his 30. Let's bring in California Assemblywoman Alexandra Macedo and the Amy Robbins Show host, Alexo Athletica CEO Amy Robbins. Thank you both for coming on. Allie, to you first. I mean, we sat here on this set last night. We had panelists. We were playing that video. I mean, every one of them had tears come to their eyes. Normal, right? It's normal. And then you have the governor of this state literally mocking, having this Dumb and Dumber thing about the president Netanyahu on the day of these reuniting hostages with their families. It's fairly inexcusable. What do you think?
Trace, this has been consistent for him, and he obviously has learned nothing from Katie Porter, who very publicly showed exactly who she is. And this is what's so disgusting to me about the progressive left. They have gone unchecked for so long, especially here in California, that they make mockeries of people's lives and people's struggling and people's pain and suffering. Those days are over, and I hope the American people are watching as Gavin Newsom makes a bid for the White House. All he's looking for is social media attention and his solidification of his nomination. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your families, let alone people having one of the most memorable moments of their life after being reunited after 2 years of misery. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and to me, it seems like they pulled it down for 13 hours because somebody somewhere is like, wow, bad, very bad idea. They finally pulled it down. Here's Joe Biden thinking about the peace deal, talking about the peace deal, and it happened during the debates in 2024. Amy, and I'll get your take on this, but remember exactly the state that Joe Biden was in. Watch.
The first stage is trade the hostages for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions. The third phase is the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas, number one. They're the only ones standing out. We're still pushing hard to get them to accept.
I mean, this administration keeps saying, oh, no, we're the ones that laid the groundwork for this, Amy, and Trump just pushed it over the finish line. They were coming at this from the left's angle, right? They came at this the way that AOC would come at a peace deal instead of the way that Benjamin Netanyahu wanted to come at a peace deal.
Yeah, Trace, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's like Joe Biden woke up from his nap and suddenly wanted to take credit for Trump's Gaza triumph by saying that his groundwork is what made it happen. But please, under Joe Biden, hostages were rotting while he was sending billions to Iran's terrorist pals. And then on the flip side, you have President Trump who swoops in, starts to twist some arms in Egypt, and then he frees every last living hostage. And suddenly Sleepy Joe wants a participation trophy? Well, I'm sorry. They're not handing those out in this game. It's actually quite laughable. And we all know who the real hero is in this story. And it is the one who put America first, not fiction first.
Yeah, I wanted to get your take on this, Allie, the breaking news. I hate to keep pushing the breaking news on you, but we just learned tonight that the L.A. County Council voted to declare a state of emergency in California to give those affected by the ICE raids, right, meaning the illegal immigrants, criminal illegal immigrants in this state, one of the most expensive states in the nation, free rent. And the question is, who's going to pay for all this? The state can't afford it. The landlords have to pay for it. What's the deal here? You're giving these people who might be criminals, who likely are, says ICE, free rent.
Well, there's a couple things here, Trace. The first one is I want them to look the people who lost their homes in the fires in Southern California in the face when they don't have homes to return home to, and they don't know when they're going to. Meanwhile, they're paying rent or living in hotels. I also want to know if they're willing to open up their guest rooms, their garages, even their own couches to these same people to live there rent-free as long as they need to. It's so disgusting to me, the amount of virtue signaling that happens. And L.A. County is in a deficit, an extreme budget deficit, and then they wonder why people are exiting LA in droves. This is probably a good sign of why, and it's so tone deaf. I don't know when we're going to start understanding that we have to put American citizens first, and while we're housing insecure in so many places and struggling to have enough housing, we're giving free housing to people. Free housing, but there is nothing free, Trace. When are people going to wake up? There's a cost somewhere, and landlords can't bear this cost.
We have the highest homeless population in the country, and they're going to give people who are not citizens of this country free rent. Amy, Charlie Kirk, Medal of Freedom today on what would have been his 32nd birthday. Here is his wife, Erica Kirk.
This is not a ceremony. This is a commissioning. And my message is simple. I want you to be the embodiment of this medal. I do. I want you to free yourself from fear. I want you to stand courageously in the truth.
And this continues to grow, Amy. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, as someone who has been an ambassador for Turning Point for nearly a decade, I've spoken at many Turning Point events. I thought this was such a beautiful way to honor not only his life, but to immortalize the legacy of a man who woke up a generation to fight for family, for faith, and for the flag. And I just couldn't think of a better way to really just make Charlie's name go down forever in our nation's history books. And I do believe that his light will be the conservatives' torch for generations to come.
Yeah. Amy, Allie, thank you both.
Many have tried to imitate, but there's truly only one President Trump. Here he is comparing how he looks in a bathing suit compared to Joe Biden.
I'd like to go to the beach. You know, my legs are not quite as thin as his. My legs are slightly heavier. My arms are slightly larger. My body is a little bit larger than his. I'm not sure it would be appreciated on the beach, but I'm not going to take a chance. You won't see me in a bathing suit. Somebody told him that he looked good in a bathing suit.
Speaking of who's in better shape, a certain governor from California is questioning whether the Democratic Party needs to shape up as they face a favorable rating of just 34%.
Do you feel like our party is in better shape or worse shape? Are we finding our voice? Is this shutdown in a perverse sense helpful in terms of just organizing that voice and a clarity of what's at stake?
All right, well, I'm going to turn that question back around on you too. But I mean, the polling would not tell you that our party is in good shape today. I mean, we are historically unpopular.
Newsom also continues to mimic Trump style. He's now accusing Joe Rogan of having something he calls CDS.
What do you think he's talking about?
I don't know. I mean, I barely watched what you
the perception of it, the perception of California, the perception of some of the problems that face the state, and maybe how some of the people around the country might think.
I think there's a California derangement syndrome, and he's part of it. I mean, I think people are obsessed with focusing on what's wrong with the state and not what's right with the state.
But the proof is in the U-Haul. If you look at the numbers, everybody wants to leave. Nobody wants to go.
So, you know that Gavin thought he was on Charlemagne the God? CDS is not CDS if the data is real, like the U-Haul's leaving. The reason why Trump derangement is real is because the data is not. You know, the collusion, authoritarianism, war on democracy, fascism, Nazis. No one's ever said that stuff about California, but it's been said about Trump and his followers. I wonder how people can... I think the grip that TDS has on people is starting to loosen up, especially after the peace stuff. And they're beginning to see how huge and overinflated this demon was. There's no war on democracy. There's no fascism. It's just a guy making peace while also making jokes about not having skinny legs. I think you have with Gavin, you almost have this weird choice between all-inclusive resorts. You know, all-inclusive resorts come with stuff that you love and stuff that you don't. Trump's resort, it may be gaudy and a little unpredictable, but it's walkable. There's lots of stuff to do. And every day you experience something fun and productive, you get what you pay for. But at Newsom Towers, or whatever you call it, the service sucks. You know, no one there works. You're trying to find somebody at the counter. There's nobody there. It's just like you never get what you paid for over in Newsom's resort. So it's a stark choice, really, between facade and substance, reality and fantasy. And I think that's why Democrats have to indulge these delusions, because the reality is too much to bear.
And Harold, the first step to getting better on anything is admitting you have a problem, but they've only gone a half a step, because in the clip they say, yeah, we are historically unpopular, but they won't take the next half a step, which is say we did it to ourselves.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think when parties have found themselves at this moment, Democrats, this is not the first time a political party finds itself kind of self-loathing and trying to figure out where they go and what the next steps are. But you're right, you have to have answers. We need less kind of apologizing and loathing, and more offering of new things. You think about where we are today. The government is shut down. AI is enabling inefficiencies, but it's going to displace a lot of workers. We need answers to that, how we're going to create new jobs going forward. Our schools are not working. And Katie, you mentioned a point about Democrats should be welcoming people to their communities as we try to fight crime. They should, but we need a crime bill. Greg and I talked about this yesterday. President Trump's been in office. We've yet to end cashless bail. Dangle federal funds out there to these cities and make them end cashless bail in exchange for more money to hire cops and prosecutors and so forth. Democrats, these are the answers we should be providing. The moping and the going on podcasts and saying the same old thing is not resonating with voters, let alone winning voters to.
From prototypes to large production runs, instant quotes to extensive manufacturing capacity, Xometry helps engineers bring innovations to life. Xometry, where big ideas are built.
Pluto TV is your home for premium Black entertainment.
You bring it on.
Check out the Black Collective and stream 19 live channels of your favorite Black entertainment. All streaming free. Period. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Our side.
And part of the reason for that, Katie, is that they're often on the wrong side of these issues. Like on 80-20 issues, or as President Trump says, 97-3 issues, they're on the wrong side of it.
And they don't have to be. If it's an 80-20 issue, it's safe to be on the side of the 80, but they're so focused on Trump that they just can't get themselves out of it. And the old saying is you can't beat them, join them. I mean, Trump is beating them on everything, on crime, on deportation, on the government shutdown, which Republicans historically always lose the argument about the government shutdown. Democrats could open the government tomorrow. They could work on a crime bill, but they can't do that because they don't want to fund the government.
So could you?
Republicans already voted for a clean CR, and Democrats refused to in the Senate. So Democrats should vote for that so they can reopen the government. And also, Democrats are focused on the wrong guy. Trump is not running for re-election. He is done in 2028, and yet Democrats continue to go after him. Presidential hopefuls like Gavin Newsom can't get over the fact that he just needs to come up with his own ideas, can't just copy Trump for everything that he does. And they're just not authentic. They're not putting out anything original. And for Gavin Newsom to sit there and scoff at someone like Joe Rogan, who the left is desperately trying to find their own Joe Rogan, they had one. He not only left the Democratic Party, he also left California, along with a lot of his rich friends. And there are still people leaving California. Right. So they've got to come up with different ideas that are helpful to their constituents rather than constantly fighting someone who isn't even running for re-election.
And I want California to be great. I lived in San Diego for 3 years. I'd love to go and visit and enjoy. But Jesse is your name. Many large companies have decided to leave, and they're specifically saying it's because of some of Gavin's policies. Tesla, Chevron, Oracle, Charles Schwab. And Chevron was actually very explicit in saying it was Governor Newsom's policies that took them out.
Yeah, but he's still a threat. He'll probably get the nom. And he'll lie his way to the top. He's rich, he's tall, and he has a nice-looking family, and lies very effectively.
Sounds like someone else I know.
Me? But he's always coming across as a little less crazy than the rest of the Democrats, and that's where his threat is. Dana, have you ever been dumped?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I haven't, so tell me if I'm wrong. If you're dumped, do you sit alone in a room and wallow?
I did.
And for a year say what went wrong?
I did for 2 weeks, and then Andrea Aragon, my college roommate, said, get up, and we went country music dancing every Saturday night for the rest of the year.
Jesse, get this. We now are just such good friends to this day. You guys.
I'll never forget it. Oh, I got dumped big time.
So they didn't wait. They waited, what? 11 months, and they're still not getting out there. There's millions of voters out there. Go out, make your pitch. Do what Harold says, except the crime bill. We're not going to give you guys more money so you can steal it. But do something different. Don't just sit alone in a room and Zoom. It's so stupid.
And a nude, or I guess nearly nude, bicycle group protesting ICE in Portland, biking to the city's ICE facility yelling F ICE and making obscene gestures toward agents, some even having slogans like "No Kings" written on their nude bodies. The strange protest receiving a wide range of reactions, as you might imagine, online.
They are not there to keep the peace. They are there, I believe, to incite these protests that Donald Trump is now using as an excuse to bring in the federal troops. ICE is violating American citizens' rights. They are detaining American citizens for days on end.
That is a Democratic strategist on CNN pushing the liberal narrative against the president's crackdown on illegal immigration. Let's bring in political consultant Michelle Backus, along with talk radio host and SeattleRed.com creator Jason Rance. Thank you both for coming on. Michelle, to you first. I mean, you look at CNN, you hear that kind of talk all day long, and is it
Director Patel, before you joined the FBI, you railed against it for covering up Jeffrey Epstein's human trafficking ring. Let me refresh your memory with this clip.
It has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list.
So you finished that December 2023 interview with a challenge to the FBI and harsh words for Republicans in Congress for not getting the Epstein files out to the public. You can see this clip.
Boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are, you said. You emphasized that the president and FBI director each had complete authority to release Epstein's client list. You said Epstein's black book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. Look at this clip.
This is way off the topic, but who has Jeffrey Epstein's
black book?
Black book.
FBI.
But who? That is, I mean, there's...
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI.
All right, so you were sworn in as director more than 200 days ago. Now the black book is under your direct control. So why haven't you released the names of Epstein's co-conspirators in the rape and sex trafficking of young women and girls?
The Rolodex, which is what everybody colloquially refers to as the black book, has been released.
Oh, no, you're talking about what the journalist got 5 years ago? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about what you were talking about there,
That's
the black
exactly
book
what I
under
was
the
talking.
direct control of the FBI director.
We have released more material than anyone else before. The Biden administration, Obama administration had the exact opportunities to release this material, and they never did. And if you are selling the men and women of the FBI,
Why
we're not
have you
going after
changed your
child
position?
predators. Hang on, you said we're not going after child predators. 1,500 child predators arrested this year, 35% increase,
I'll reclaim my time.
4,700 child victims
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to
found.
reclaim my time if you could instruct the witness. Why have you changed your position? There you were saying it's under the direct control of the FBI director and all of it should be released. Why have you changed your
Everything
position?
that has been lawfully permitted to be released has been released. And as I told you,
Really?
the investigation was limited. And let me make something crystal clear. I never said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic other people, other women, and they're not other victims. This is the investigation we were given from 2006, 7, and 8, and the search warrants from 2006, 7, and 8. That's what we're working with.
Well, wait, have you released all of the stuff that the FBI has seized from Epstein's house? The computers, the emails, the file cabinets, the documents? What about the financial records? Have you released all of that?
Everything the court has allowed us to
Which
release.
court are you talking about?
3 separate federal courts have come in and said...
We're talking about the evidence you've got. It's got nothing to do with what those courts have.
Do you have any
We're talking
idea
about
how the
evidence-
law works? Do you want me to break the law in a federal judge's order?
No, I want you to
satisfy
follow your own
curiosity?
word, Director Patel. You said up there it was under the direct control of the FBI director. He had the black book.
Everything I have direct control over, we have gone to court. You haven't.
Complete
We
your
went
sentence.
to court.
Everything you have direct control over, you said.
Have gone to court, and everything we have direct
Director
control
Patel,
over.
complete your
and
sentence.
can
You said
lawfully
everything-
release.
The
We're
gentleman-
releasing.
He'd like to complete his answer.
You began the sentence, everything you have direct control over, and then you stopped that sentence. You've released everything that you have direct control over?
I have direct control over and can lawfully release. If you're not familiar with the court orders, that's not my fault.
Oh, I'm
Go
perfectly,
look at them.
I'm
Go
perfectly
to
familiar
court.
with them. But how did we prosecute Ghislaine Maxwell?
She was prosecuted with the investigatory material that was collected from 2001 and 2005. Because of the non-prosecution agreements, investigations, and search warrants, we were not able to develop new information. And oh, by the way, Jeffrey Epstein was out for 12 years, and the Obama and Biden administration did nothing to look at his work, his pedophile network. If you want to blame me, that's fine. But now you're blaming the men and women who conducted this
Stop
great
that.
search.
I'm not blaming anybody other than you. You're not keeping your word. You said that you would release all of the materials
Has
under your
anyone
direct
released
control.
more information on Epstein than I have? Has
Well,
anyone?
Much
Did
more.
Comey? Did Ray?
Much
Did
more.
they?
Excuse me. Much more has come out in the days since the American people in Congress have been demanding it. But it's coming out in dribs and drabs. Why don't you just release the entire file as you promised to do?
I literally just told you there are multiple federal court orders. I'm not going to break the law to satisfy your curiosity. You didn't join us when we filed court to release the court orders. You could have. You have lawyers. You could have shown up. You didn't do that.
That's a tiny fraction of the material we're talking about.
That is not.
It is a tiny fraction.
How do you know that? Have you seen everything?
It's all misdirection.
How do you know
Time
that?
of the gentleman has expired.
Mr. Patel, does Donald Trump appear anywhere in the Epstein files?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
It's not a complicated question. Does Donald Trump appear anywhere in the Epstein files?
I didn't say it was a complicated question. I just didn't hear you, so my apologies. We have released where President Trump's name's in the Epstein files and everybody else, and all credible information that we are legally allowed to release has been released.
All right, so let's go through that. You're referring to court orders that prohibit you from releasing grand jury testimony under Rule 6E. Is that what you're referring to when you say as the law allows?
That's a piece of it.
Really? What other evidence do those 3 court orders you cited prohibit from being released?
Information that was collected pursuant to those search warrants that were limited in fashion.
Wrong. That's not what the court order says, and that's not under 6E.
And you're talking, and I said that's 6E, and I said there was others, and I'm answering that. There are sealed court order documents. There are protective orders.
They are unsealed as part of discovery given to Ghislaine Maxwell. They are no longer sealed.
That's just not true. We can argue about it all you want.
Okay, well, you agree that there are. So your testimony here is that the reason why you are not releasing all of the videos that you have acknowledged, there are so many, and that the FBI spent thousands of hours of reviewing, the photographs, the photographs that you have. You're saying that you're not releasing those because there's a court order requiring them to be sealed? Is that your testimony?
Never said that about the videos. On the totality of the videos, of the thousands of images that were seized pursuant to the search warrants executed at the time, the overwhelming majority of that video is pornographic material that was downloaded from the internet and child sexual abuse material. We will never release that.
Well, as you should not release the victims. But if there are videos that relate to others who Epstein trafficked to, such as maybe Prince Andrew, or photographs, that you have total control to release.
Yes, and if it exists...
And so why haven't you released it?
Why are you supposing that that is a fact when in fact it is false? Are you saying that...
You're saying that none of the videos relate to anything relevant to the Jeffrey Epstein trafficking ring?
Every single video that we have collected pursuant to the prior search warrants has been examined for the last 10 years. And every single video has been utilized for whatever prosecutions were able to be legally brought.
I'm not asking about prosecutions. I'm asking about why you aren't releasing the full Epstein files, including the names of people who were involved in the sex ring that you promised to do before you became FBI director.
I just told you I'm not going to release downloaded porn of
I'm
children
not asking
on the
about
internet.
that. Fine. I'm asking about all the other files.
What other videos? Tell me. Tell me.
That's what I'm asking.
Tell me.
You're saying there are no videos that would be relevant to anyone else involved in the Jeffrey Epstein sex ring.
Pursuant to Mr. Acosta's collection of information based on the search warrants. That's all we have in our possession.
And I'm asking you, that stuff.
That's all we got.
I'm not asking all you got. I'm asking you, in that stuff, there's nothing that's related to to any other sex traffic, any other people engaged with Epstein in underage sex.
That's correct. To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Let's talk about the witness interviews. 302s of witness interviews. Those are not subject to the court order. Those are not subject to any fictional sealed order for a search warrant. Why aren't you releasing those with the redacted names of the victims?
We are releasing as much as legally allowed. That's why we went back to the courts.
How is that not legally allowed?
Sir, do you know how court orders work? Do you know how protective orders work?
Actually,
Do you know how
Mr.
sealing
Patel,
orders
I was
work?
a real prosecutor for 10 years. I know exactly how.
So I was a
court
fake
orders.
one?
And I want to understand what the court order prevents you from releasing witness statements that the FBI took.
You should know that as a real prosecutor, when the court hand downs a protective order and a motion to seal, the material is sealed unless that
Your
judge
testimony
waives
here
it.
is that all of those witness statements are under a court order, a protective order.
We are providing everything we can legally provide.
No, that's not my question. My question is, why are those witness statements that are not grand jury testimony, that if they were under a protective order are no longer under a protective order, why are they not being released?
How are they not under a protective
order? Why are you not going to the court like you did for the grand jury testimony to unseal those records?
The DOJ did go to the court.
No, not on those records. Why aren't you going? You just went on grand jury.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
You are hiding the Epstein files, Mr. Patel.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
You are part of the cover-up.
I've got 4 documents I'd like to introduce into the record. The first one is Jeffrey Epstein's 6 story played out for years in plain sight. And Acosta is quoted in here saying, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone." The second document is entitled, "What Epstein's Bodyguard Warned About His CIA Connections." The third document is from Fox Digital. It's titled, "Epstein's Private Calendar Reveals Planned Meetings with Obama Admin Official CIA Chief." And the last document is Wall Street Journal article that highlights Ehud Barak's 36 meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. He was the former Prime Minister of Israel and head of military intelligence for Israel. It may have held that title when he met Epstein, and then, yes.
Without objection, the gentleman will hold for a second. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one UC request. This is Judge Engelmeyer's decision from August in U.S. versus Epstein, stating the government's 100,000 pages of Epstein files dwarfs the 70-odd pages of Epstein grand jury materials.
Without objection, the gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, I watched some of your Senate hearing yesterday when Senator Kennedy asked you, "You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these women to besides himself?" You replied, according to the transcript, "There is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else." You also said somewhere in the hearing and here today that the problem is that the case files are constrained by limited search warrants from 2006 to 2007 and that the non-prosecution agreement hamstrung future investigations. Those constraints only apply to Southern District of Florida. They do not apply to Southern District of New York, the location of the 2019 sex trafficking indictment, which produced many things, including a series of FD 302 documents. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors, such as Virginia Roberts Giuffre, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. I don't know exactly who they are, but the FBI does. Have you launched any investigations into any of these people, and have you seen these 302 documents?
I'm Dr. Matt Ferris from the Maryland Proton Treatment Center. And I'm Frank, his patient. We're going to...
Sir, I have asked my FBI agents to review the entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information. And we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
So is the loophole here, or is it your assertion that these victims aren't credible, that the 302s maybe didn't produce credible statements that rise to a probable cause?
It's not my assertion, sir. It's the assertion of 2 different United States attorneys' offices from 3 separate administrations who investigated those same materials in lifetime.
Are the 302 documents in the FBI's possession?
They reviewed all that, yes, sir.
And so have you reviewed those 302 documents where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said
I named one today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice and FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. But multiple authorities have looked at the entirety of what we have.
Okay, I got to move on here. Were you present when the AG had the White House event when she released the binders to the social media influencers?
I was, yes.
So if you're willing to meet with social media influencers who stood to benefit from the sensational and sad stories of these victims, will you meet with the victims as well?
The FBI will meet with anyone who has new information.
Will you personally meet with them?
The FBI and the professionals who are handling the cases will.
Were you instructed that it was important to release the documents to the Oversight Committee on the day of my introduction of the discharge petition to release these files?
I don't know what day that was, so no.
Well, they were released that day, and there were victims' names who weren't redacted because they were in such a rush, and the victims are not happy about that. Have you investigated any of the CIA connections? Have you seen the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein? And if you wanted to see it, would they show it to you?
Well, I can speak for the FBI, and that's presuming there's a CIA case file. And I've reviewed everything that the interagency, not I, the FBI, that was provided to us.
Would you be willing to look at the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein?
If there is such a file, and if it has not already been turned over to the FBI will look at any new investigative leads.
Director, the first time you saw Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files. Did you close the files or keep reading?
I have reviewed not the entirety of the files, so
you haven't reviewed all of the Epstein files?
Personally, no.
You're the director of the FBI. This is the largest sex trafficking case the FBI has ever been a part of. Buck stops at the top, and your testimony today is you have not reviewed all of the files.
What I've been doing is been busy providing the safest country this country has seen in modern U.S. history in historic speed, because the men and women of the FBI are given the resources to reduce the homicide rate, to reduce the drug trafficking rate, to reduce the amount of children that are being trafficked and the number of pedophiles.
It sounds like those children being trafficked would appreciate the director reviewing the files. You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Director, could it at least be 1,000 times?
We have released every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can characterize the numbers however you want it.
I'm claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times.
It's not. It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know the number, but it's not that.
Do you think it might be your job to know the number?
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political innuendo so you can go out to the sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising article.
Director,
keep going, reclaiming your time, because the people of California are being underserved by your representation.
If the president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves him?
We have released everything, the president and anyone else's side, that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding child pedophiles is disgusting. Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone and go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in FBI resources through my redeployment, because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco need it.
Director, remembering your oath to tell the truth, did you ever tell Donald Trump his name is in the files?
I have never spoken to President Trump about the Epstein files.
Did you ever tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
The Attorney General and I have had numerous discussions about the entirety of the Epstein files and the reviews conducted by our team.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
And we have released where President Trump's name is in the Attorney's file.
It's a simple question. Did you tell the Attorney General that the President's name is in the Epstein files?
During many conversations that the Attorney General and I have had on the matter of Epstein, we have reviewed.
The question is simple.
Who
did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in theEpstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes
if you're
or no, Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No, A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F.
it sounds like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your
Director,
constituency
did
by
you tell the
focusing on
Attorney
reducing
General
violent
that Donald
crime in this
Trump's name-
country and the number of pedophiles that are
Director,
legally
reclaiming my
harbored in
time,
your
Director.
sanctuary cities in
Director,
California?
reclaiming
I'll
my
work with
time.
you on that. Do
Regular
you want
order,
to
Mr.
work with
Chairman.
us on that?
Director,
Time
reclaiming my
belongs to
time.
the gentleman from California.
Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files?
Question has been asked and answered.
You have not answered it, and we will take your evasiveness as a consciousness of guilt. Director, did Donald Trump ever say to you, just find and release the entire truth? Don't worry if I'm in it.
The instructions from the administration were to release all credible information, and we have done that.
Did Donald Trump ever provide information about Jeffrey Epstein as an informant?
Donald Trump has not been, and I can only speak for the FBI, an informant of the FBI.
So, Director, you've played this cute shell game where you say you can't release everything because the court has said that it legally is not allowed to be released. But the court calls bullshit. Judge Richard Berman said that when you went to the court, quote, information contained in the Epstein grand jury transcripts pales in comparison to Epstein investigation information and materials in the hands of the Department of Justice. So let's move on, Director. You wrote a book called Government Gangsters. You identified 20 individuals in that book. You put me on that list at the top of the list. Thank you. My children find it flattering. 20 of those individuals have been investigated or have had adverse actions. Director, considering that you have identified these people as, quote, government gangsters, will you recuse yourself from making any investigation decisions about these individuals?
Anyone that has been terminated at the FBI has been done so
the
because
question
they failed
again.
to meet the muster in
Director,
their constitutional
I will
obligation.
work on the audio-visual capabilities.
I'm
of
going to
insurance. I
borrow
don't think
your
you can hear me.
terminology and call
My
on your
time.
entire career in
I'm
Congress.
reclaiming my
It
time,
has been
Director.
a disgrace to the American
Director, I'm
people.
reclaiming my
You
time.
can
No, that-
reclaim your
no, you
time all you
recuse
want.
yourself.
Mr. Chairman, you're going to allow a witness to speak this way?
Mr. Chairman, would you give
recuse yourself, Director?
The gentleman has no time
Mr.
to
Chairman, would you
Mr.
admonish the
Chairman, point of-
witness not to insult members?
The gentleman has no time.
Mr. Chairman,
the
just
committee will remember.
quick point of order. Could the gentleman be extended an additional 20 seconds to complete his thoughts since the witness decided to interrupt him continuously?
And the witness will be able to respond if he wants. We'll make sure
Thank
he has
you.
time to do that.
My question
Gentleman,
is,
continue.
will you, Director, recuse yourself, yes or no, from investigating or making decisions about the 60 individuals, including myself, that you identified as government gangsters? Yes or no?
Time of the gentleman has expired. The witness may respond if he would like.
And the answer was no, as I heard.
Correct.
Thank you, Director Patel, for being here today. The FBI searched Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan residence, correct?
I believe that happened in 2018. I think there was 2 locations, sir.
It's 2019, and in that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I don't have the catalog of evidence in front of me.
In that residence, the FBI found a safe, correct?
I'll accept your representation.
Okay. And in that safe, the FBI found topless and lewd photographs of girls, correct?
Again, sir, I'll accept your representation. I don't know.
Thank you. It was all over the media at the time. There's a New York Times article that says Jeffrey Epstein is indicted on sex charges as discovery of nude photos is disclosed, dated July 8th, 2019. And the Times reports a trove of lewd photographs of girls was discovered in a safe inside financier Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Author Michael Wolff has conducted numerous interviews of Jeffrey Epstein. I'm going to play for you a video clip of what Michael Wolff said Epstein told him was in the safe and what he showed the author was in this safe. So let's please play that clip now.
Elected. And I was sitting talking to Epstein, and he said, "Wait a minute, I got to show you something." And then he went into his safe, and he came out with photographs. They were Polaroids, I think, and he kind of spread them out like playing cards, and it was Trump. I mean, I think there were a dozen of them, and it was Trump with girls of an uncertain age at Epstein's Palm Beach house, where all of the things that he would ultimately be accused of took place. And I remember very vividly 3 of them. There are 2 in which Trump is, the girls, topless girls, are sitting on Trump's lap. And then a 3rd in which he has a stain on the front of his pants. And the girls are kind of pointing at it, sort of bent over, laughing.
So, Director Patel, I'm going to ask you a very broad and general question. As you know, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends. There are, of course, photos showing Donald Trump together with Epstein, correct?
I don't have the entirety of the photographs, but I think they've been photographed in public together.
All right. Are there any photos showing Donald Trump with girls of an uncertain age?
No.
How do you know that?
Because that information would have been brought to light by multiple administrations and FBI investigators over the course of the last 20 years.
Well, you know what? That's just not true, because no one knew about the creepy birthday message that Donald Trump wrote to Jeffrey Epstein until the Wall Street Journal disclosed it, and then all of a sudden, the Epstein estate provides it to Congress.
Well,
so certainly, you weren't there at the search. You don't know what Epstein may or may not have done with those photographs even prior to the search. Maybe someone has it. Maybe the Epstein estate has it.
You raise a great point.
So I'm going to ask you, have you asked to talk to Michael Wolff?
You raise a great point. I haven't personally asked to talk to Michael Wolff.
Has the FBI asked?
But the FBI, I'll get back to you if the FBI specifically
so Michael Wolff has
ever.
About 100 hours of testimony of Jeffrey Epstein. Wouldn't it be good for the FBI to interview Michael Wolff?
I'm not saying they haven't. I just don't know.
Has FBI subpoenaed the tapes that Michael Wolff has conducted of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know.
All right. So if you could provide us an answer, that would be terrific. Sure. Well, let me ask you this question then. Have you looked at all the photos in Epstein files?
I have looked at all the information that the investigators who investigated this case have provided to run out credible leads.
And in the Epstein file, was there that creepy birthday message that Donald Trump had written to Epstein?
No, that's what I was trying to tell you. You raise a great point. The estate of Jeffrey Epstein has a voluminous amount of information that they have not released before.
Okay, so that's great. So wouldn't it be great if FBI subpoenaed the estate of Jeffrey Epstein for all that information?
The estate is under no obligation to provide that material, even pursuant to a subpoena. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's just false.
Okay.
That's just false. You're the frickin' FBI. You can subpoena the information from the estate, and you better do that.
That's literally not how it works.
I'm going to move on now and talk about Epstein's client list. You confirmed that it exists. Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed earlier this year that it exists. So I just want to ask you a simple question. Is Prince Andrew on Epstein's client list?
The material related to Prince Andrew has been made public.
Is Prince Andrew on the client list?
We have released the index of names that were in Jeffrey Epstein's.
Is Donald Trump on Epstein's client list?
The index has been released, and the index will speak for itself.
So I'm just going to say, America, there's a huge red flag. The FBI director could not answer whether Donald Trump was on Epstein's
Gentleman's time has
list.
expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, before you joined the FBI, you had very strong opinions about what the FBI was hiding regarding Jeffrey Epstein. In a September 2023 interview with Glenn Beck, you said the Black Book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. In December 2023, you said, let us know who the pedophiles are. Even for a short time after becoming FBI director, in February of 2025, you tweeted, quote, there will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned. In June, you told Joe Rogan, quote, we've reviewed all the information, we're going to give you every single thing we have and can. But then suddenly in July, everything changed. You and Attorney General Pam Bondi released one video and said that there was nothing more to see. Your July memo says you uncovered more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence, but that you had decided no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. That is a quote. I think what happened, Mr. Patel, is that suddenly you discovered that Donald Trump's name was all over these files, and you started a giant cover-up. So you are under oath, Mr. Patel. You just testified to Mr. Swalwell that you did not speak to the president about the Epstein files. To your knowledge, did Attorney General Pam Bondi speak to the president about what was in the Epstein files?
I can't speak for Attorney General Pam Bondi.
So to your knowledge, you don't have any information. The question was, do you have any knowledge? Do you have any knowledge?
I can't speak.
You are refusing to answer the question, so let me tell you that the Wall Street Journal reported that in May, Bondi told Trump that he was in the Epstein files, and at the same meeting said that the DOJ did not plan to release the files. Yesterday, you testified to Senator Kennedy that there was, quote, no credible information that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone else, and that you have, quote, continuously and publicly asked the public to come forward with more information and we'll look into it. Today, in response to Mr. Massey's question, you appear to say that the survivors were not credible. These are survivors.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you this in a second, but let me tell you about
then
the
don't lie about
survivors,
me.
and let's bring them up here into the room. These are women who came to the Hill and testified that they were groomed and raped at the age of 14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to
Is the
invite all
answer yes or
investigative
no
leads.
to whether or not you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped?
Any insinuation by you or any
What
people
is
on
the
your
an-
side that I am not manhunting child predators and sex traffickers, just look at the
Mr.
stats.
Patel,
And you talk
Mr.
about
Chairman,
cover-ups, man.
Mr. Chairman,
you
this
talk
is
about
my time,
cover-ups.
and I will take
Why
as much time as
Where
I
were
want.
you during the
Instruct
Obama
the
and Biden
witness, Mr.
administrations
Chairman.
when these so-called
Instruct the
cover-ups were
witness.
going on?
Mr.
Why didn't
Chairman.
anyone in those administrations talk to any of these
Mr.
purported
Chairman.
witnesses?
Let's
I have
get some regular order, Mr.
every
Chairman.
single person to provide credible information.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Washington.
And I'm
but
gonna
when you-
take
when
another
you
couple
accuse
of
the
minutes.
witness of something, he's allowed to respond. That's how it works. You say
Listen, he
something,
didn't
you
even,
say
excuse me,
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Chairman, you have
point
always
of
been
order.
fair, but
I'm-
this
and
is
I'm
not
being
fair.
fair, and you will get
no,
your-
this
you will
is
get your
my
time.
and he
You will give the
said
gentlelady
that the
a few
witnesses
additional
were not credible.
seconds of time.
I'm going to get an additional minute of time because that's
you'll
how
get
much time
you
he
won't
took.
get a minute. You'll get some seconds. What we think is under 5 minutes. You don't get to demand how
Mr.
much time you
Patel.
get. That's not how it works.
Mr. Patel, are the victims of the Jeffrey Epstein horrific trafficking ring, are they credible?
Any person with information about ongoing
I
sexual
didn't.
trafficking.
I'm asking you if they're credible.
Ma'am, I'm
Are they
commenting on the
credible?
evidence we have.
But
And we have routinely asked for people to come forward with more evidence, and we will look at it. And the evidence that we have was the same evidence that the Biden and
Patel,
Obama Justice Departments
Mr.
had.
Patel,
And they
this is
determined,
new.
not me, they determined
Mr.
that
Chairman,
information was not
Mr.
credible.
Chairman, he's not letting me even ask my questions.
You
This is
ask the
ridiculous.
questions. He gives an answer. You may not like what he says,
No,
but that
I'm
doesn't mean you get to
asking- he's not
interrupt
answering
him.
my question.
Mr.
You
Chairman,
have
could we
an-
restore the gentlelady 45 seconds so she
We
can
will give
complete
her
her question?
additional 30 seconds, which is what I said
I'm going
earlier.
to keep taking my time because
you'll take
here's
the
the
time
thing.
that you get. You get
are
30
not
seconds.
answering the question. The question
I
is,
have. You just don't like the
these
answer.
are these women credible? It's a yes or no answer.
I have answered the question.
Well,
and I
what is
keep
the
telling
answer?
you, I'm the only FBI director that has welcomed new information in this
Okay.
case. This
You're not-
administration is the only one that has welcomed any new information in this
Is there
case.
a yes or no to whether
Present
the
new credible
victims are
information.
credible?
Present new
Are
information.
the victims credible
The victims-
or not?
I'll tell you what happened in the last Trump
Are they
administration.
credible or not? You can't even
Victims
say.
credibly came forward, and you know what happened? President Trump authorized the indictments
President
of Jeffrey
Trump
Epstein,
called
not
them a
Biden,
hoax.
not Obama,
President Trump
no one
called
else.
the entire thing a Democratic hoax. So I would like to ask
The
you
gentlelady's
if
time has
you
expired.
will
I gave her
meet-
the additional
if
45
you-
seconds she
if you
requested.
will
The
meet-
gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from
Mr.
New
Chairman,
Jersey is
I would like
recognized
to
for his
ask if
5
you would
minutes.
meet with the women who were sexually
time does not belong-
abused and raped and
time
groomed
does
at
not
the
belong
ages
to the
of
gentlelady from
14
Washington.
and
The time now
16
belongs-
years old. Are
the
you
time-
going to cover up?
No, I'm
Are
not
you
gonna-
going to
I'm
continue
gonna
to
recognize
cover
the
up
gentleman
for
from
the
New Jersey
rich
for
and
his 5 minutes.
powerful men, including those that might be on this committee?
I can yell
Or
too,
are
Mr.
you
Chairman,
going
but I don't want to
to
yell
allow
above
them
this.
to
The time belongs
testify?
to the gentleman from New Jersey. I
Are you
appreciate the
going to allow
gentlelady
them to
yielding
testify,
back.
Mr. Patel?
Go ahead.
Will
Mr.
you
Angelo.
allow them to testify to you, Mr. Patel?
Mr. Patel, thank you for being here.
I want to take your attention back a second, okay? Breaking news. Kash Patel is nominated to be the FBI director. Dan Bongino is nominated to be the number 2 at the FBI. MAGA celebrates, rejoices, bells are ringing out. The team, Patel, Bongino, that sought out every podcast microphone to talk about the Epstein list. The names are finally going to get released. It begins. They produce white binders. Phase 1 with the podcasters. This is not actually one of them, of course. I made this. Your name's on it, right? And the names are going to come out. Pam Bondi says the list is on her desk. Then a memo comes out all of a sudden and says, there's no list. Oh, no phase 2. Phase 2 binders never happen. You said the conspiracy theories around Epstein just aren't true. They never have been. And yesterday, in an answer to Senator Kennedy, you said the FBI is not in possession of any credible evidence that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone but himself. So according to your testimony yesterday and in this committee, according to the evidence the FBI has, the number of names on the list are zero.
No,
zero.
The index has been released, and the number of people involved in that trafficking operation were charged in 2018.
Other than Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, your testimony in the Senate and here is that according to the evidence you have, the number of other names is zero.
That were charged based on credible evidence.
Well, who are the other names? Give me the other names that weren't charged.